I hate it when people do that.
Are we 15 seconds
guess
in?
what?
No,
What?
we're not. Hold on.
Okay.
Why are we not recording this for the Patreon?
We are.
Well,
we
we
should
are.
be. Yeah.
We say this every week, but we never do.
I put in last week's jibber jabber at the end of the episode for the audio, so it's there.
Yeah.
We saved it.
All right. I see us
be
live
live
now.
Yeah.
And so 15 seconds.
I got
well,
my kid
we're
to
not
go up to my
modernized
wife
anyway,
and be
so it
like,
doesn't really matter.
one of my favorite hobbies is to tell my kid to go say something funny to my wife that
Mhm.
sometimes he knows what it means, sometimes he doesn't, but it's never profane. But I got him to go up and say, "Hey, Mom," and she goes, "What?" And he goes, "Sometimes when I poop, I fart. Sometimes when I fart, I poop." It made me happy.
Nice. No, GP, I was saying, don't say shit or, other words.
I would never.
Yeah.
No, we don't do that here. Not on YouTube. We're good boys and girls. We behave ourselves.
I feel like I was beyond 15 seconds.
Hold
I think
on.
we're good.
I'm gonna have my kid's right here. I'm gonna tell him to go tell his mom something. Hold on.
Yeah.
Sinstress is apologizing to YouTube for us. Thank you, Sinstress.
Thank you. Yeah.
I tried to mute it. Did it mute?
Yeah, it muted.
Oh, thank goodness. Now nobody knows. That's a good gag. I like the visual gags. If you're listening, you need to go over to the YouTube and find our videos.
Stop saying that. Our numbers on audio are low. Listen to the audio. Listen on your favorite podcast apps and subscribe to us there.
Listen to the audio. Write down at what time GP said. Go check, and then go back and watch the thing. Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
I don't care what you smash.
Yeah.
Do
smash
both.
something. Do the Hulk thing.
Unless you're in Avengers, because that's being shut down.
Right. Okay, are we ready?
I think we're good.
All right. Oh, my phone thinks I'm talking to it. Hold on. I should silence my phone. Okay.
Google, turn off the lights. No.
Luckily, I have a headset on and I can't hear you.
Oh, that's how that works. It's Friday. My brain doesn't work. I'm going to mute my phone. There we go.
Today's Friday.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go. Oh, sorry. I started thinking about muting your phone when you go to the theater.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, we're giving people just a minute to collect themselves and jump in here. That's really what we're doing, right?
Sure.
All right. Here we go.
Okay.
For those about Turok, today on I told you it was a bad one today.
I
told you that.
Bad but good.
Yeah.
The thing is, you started the sentence, but now you need to finish it because it's a cliffhanger. And even though I know the lyric,
we salute you.
There you go. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Now I can breathe.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Press B to Cancel. I don't know what episode we're on. Episode 141. Today we are talking about, probably the franchise, but we'll start with the original.
Oh, shit.
Turok.
I only have the one video, Sinistar.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. No, we're talking about Turok. Turok. Tunok. Yeah, that's another song. But I am not alone, as those watching the YouTube video can tell. I'm joined by my good friends. Jake, how are you today?
Doing good. Glad it's a Friday. Always glad it's a Friday.
Me too. And my other very good friend, GP. GP, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Feeling good. I always feel odd when we're recording because I can see pictures of everybody or, the videos. And then I see like the reverse image of me and it's just like looking at the man in the mirror and it's bizarre.
Oh, now I have another song in my head. Thank you for that.
Of course, anytime.
All right, so we are talking Turok, which I think the original was Dinosaur Hunter. Turok Dinosaur Hunter.
It was, but was he really Dinosaur Hunter in the original Turok?
That's a great question. I thought I originally I thought I played the original Turok, but it turns out I didn't. I played Turok on the Xbox, which I think was Turok Evolution,
Is that
the original Xbox.
was that the one that was where the main character was Joseph Turok?
I
Joey
don't
T.
remember. I don't remember.
Literally, that's the one where they retconned the backstory to be Joseph Turok, a space marine, and it was also Dinosaur Hunter. That might have been the one. There was one where they did that.
We should give a little background here. This was based on a comic from 1954, I want to say.
I think so, yeah.
1950 something.
Yeah.
And a Native American probably misrepresented in 1954.
In the 50s, come on now.
Yeah. And then I guess in 93, they revived it and published a new comic. And then I think Acclaim bought the franchise and then basically said that they were making a game for the upcoming Nintendo console. It was not known at that time what it was. Became the Nintendo 64. So I thought I played the original, but I did not. But you said you did, right, Jake?
I did. So I did have the N64, and let me tell you, there was not a lot of games to play on the N64 when it was 96, 97. Everybody had the same 4 or 5 games, and Turok was usually one of them. I know this one mainly because my uncle used to buy games for my system because I used to live with him at the time. And I remember he bought Turok for the N64, and at the time, it was 120 Canadian dollars.
Ooh.
Games were expensive for the N64.
Damn.
And I only remember that price because 6 months later, Turok sold well enough to be considered player's choice, and they reprinted or made copies. The player's choice price was like $60 Canadian. It went down in price by half.
So wait, you're not the console, the game itself.
Oh yeah, the games were the cartridges were super expensive, and that was always the problem with the N64. As compared to the PlayStation, games were always like $20, $30 more. It was crazy. I mean, even today, to put it in perspective, 20 years later, the average Nintendo Switch game is $90 Canadian. So it's gone down, but it was $120 back in the time.
Huh. Add inflation on top of that, right?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah.
But at least you got the cartridge.
I still got it. No, I don't have any of my N64 games. I sold them all for a Dreamcast.
As opposed to the digital download, you at least, when you bought it for the 120 Canadian, got the cartridge.
That's true. Yeah. It wasn't vapor.
For those with their bingo card out, I'm not pointing at my background today. You can find it. You can find it.
It's turned into a picture find. One of these things on Sinistar's shelf is different. Can you spot which?
Yeah. So for those of you doing bingo, you can go ahead and mark Sinistar says he's not going to do something that he will absolutely later do. So you can go ahead and mark that one.
Wait, you don't want to actually confirm that later?
No.
You mean this console right here?
There it is.
Oh, there. Oh, well, see, now you did it. You baited him. Yeah.
And Dob.
It's been a great episode. Thanks, gentlemen.
Yeah. I guess I can talk about the N64 version. That was the one I played.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I like the game quite a bit, and I still think it holds up. And I think it took advantage of a lot of the features of the N64 hardware that people don't realize. Number one thing is fog. I know everybody used to complain or poke fun at Nintendo for their fog issue on their games. But in the case of Turok, it actually kind of worked. And there are certain levels, actually a lot of levels. I'm thinking of level 2 or 3. You're in like an Aztec city. And the fog is key to the atmosphere of that city as you're wandering this desolate ancient city, and all of a sudden warriors come running out of the fog and come after you. It's really cool. And when I recently played the Steam version. It was like a remake or remaster, I guess, of Turok on Steam. And there's settings to reduce the fog, although not eliminate it. But it's not the same feel anymore, and I kind of don't like it. I kind of like the over amount of fog, especially that city. You're in the jungles, you're in the treetop village. Fog makes sense for the Lost Valley atmosphere they're going for in Turok. So I quite like that.
The version that you played on Windows, is this the Night Dive Studio remaster?
Yes, yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
Because they've been updating it occasionally, still, right? I remember when it first came out, it was using the Windows sound effects, I believe. But then they ended up swapping out for the N64 ones. Yeah, it was really the Windows game had different music and different sound effects than the original N64 version. The music is okay, but there's something about the N64, surprisingly, did a really good job with the music. It just the jungle beats, the dinosaur roaring occasionally is part of the soundtrack. But it was
there are
definitely
dinosaurs
really
in
good.
this game?
Surprisingly, yeah, you are a Dino Hunter, at least part time.
Yeah, and I don't want to. I mean, spoiler alerts if you haven't played this game in the past 25 years that you've been able to. One dinosaur in particular breathes fire, even though it's a T-Rex and has, I believe, laser eyes. So realism.
Still a dinosaur.
But yes,
Okay.
please let's bitch
Wait.
about the fog, please.
No, I watched a long playthrough. I skipped through a long playthrough today of the N64 version on the N64. And the T-Rex at the end, yes, does have laser eyes, but realize it has a helmet on, a big metal helmet. The thing that I didn't understand was it has fire breath.
Mhm.
Doesn't
Like
it
I can
have,
go with lasers because it has a helmet on, right?
You draw the line at breathing fire.
Well, is
This
it
is
a
the limits of
dragon or
our
is it
dinosaur abilities.
is it a dragon or is it a T-Rex?
Why can the answer just not be yes?
Yeah,
That's fair.
and that's the thing, I guess, with this game is that it starts off kind of like low-tech tribal, kind of, and then as you play through the various levels, the dinosaurs and the enemies become more and more futuristic and cyborgish, right? You start with like raiders and pillagers, and then you work your way up to basically cyborgs and robots at the end of the game. It's very interesting. Actually, it's funny. I say that the beginning of the game has, raiders and hunters and stuff as enemies. Have you seen clips of the German version of this game?
Yes.
They edited all
going
out.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
That in the German version, sure, you can kill all the dinosaurs you want, but when there's an upright biped,
Yeah.
it's a robot.
It's a robot. And they take away all the blood. Because that was the thing with Turok on the N64. Surprisingly for the N64, there's a lot of gore. Like when I was playing this upstairs with my kids, the first time I used a knife and slit an enemy's throat, and he's like, and he's squirting blood everywhere. They're like, Daddy, I don't think we're allowed to watch this game. And I said, shut up. Yes, you can. No, I didn't say that. But it's gory. And in the German version, they took it all out. Yeah.
You were Marco Poloing us that earlier, and you had your baby in your arms, and I remember her just going, "Oh fuck," and it was the cutest thing.
I remember her
It's
with
just
a
too
knife
much.
trying to carve your neck. I remember that.
Whoa,
Well,
whoa!
That's
This
just
is a
how it
family
works.
stream.
Hey, look, he teaches his kids how to do this by making them watch
But
Turok.
you have to appreciate it when the kiddos are like, "I don't think I'm allowed to watch this," to the parents.
They've done this a few times with me, and I'm like, you're right, I'll turn it off. They did this with Willow and Witcher and all this other stuff. I'm like, all right, Daddy will put on something on YouTube, I guess. I don't know.
We have a fun story in our house where Sinstress, is known to curse, and one day she was cursing in the car, I believe it was, and the kids said, "Mom, we're just kids. You're not supposed to say those words." She wasn't cursing at them.
You got to put it back on them. They're not supposed to know that those are curse words.
That's true.
If they can identify it, then it's already their fault. See,
Yeah.
that's good parenting.
Yeah. All right. So, I watched the playthrough. As I said, I skipped through the playthrough. The end boss is really interesting.
As interesting as in he's a pain in the ass to beat. That he's tough. I mean, the T-Rex
Well,
I think was harder, but the guy.
I also thought Dinosaur Hunter, like, wouldn't a dinosaur be your end game? But no. It's the campaigner. His name is the campaigner.
Yeah. That's like a DM who didn't prepare for a session, needed something on the fly, and he called his ultimate villain of the session the fucking campaigner. It's a very lame name.
Yeah. Has a skull head or something, or probably a mask.
I think it's a mask. Yeah.
So, okay. So as I said, I thought I played the first one, but I do remember And as I was watching the Nintendo 64 version, I do remember that I bounced off of the version I played on the Xbox. And the reason why, honestly, is that bow that you get at the beginning. Or I guess it's the knife first, but you get a bow early on.
You get both, yeah.
And the aiming was bad. Because I'm bad at that.
Okay. Well, aiming with control is suspect as best. But I give props to the N64. Turok is one of the few console FPS games I feel I can actually play okay.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's going to say the N64 controller is great by any stretch, but I feel for Turok it works.
You know, I feel like if there wasn't so much salt in the cup, it's one of the better controllers.
That's dead skin. We've established that before. Yeah.
Right. I can hear it grind as I make the motion right now.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Okay. I have a very specific memory with starting Turok. Do you guys want to hear that?
Yes.
Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
So my brother and I, so this is 1996. We had the 64. We're the only ones on our block at the time who had that, and he was is a little bit older than me, so he was discovering girls, and I had discovered girls, but didn't really have any luck with the other, with the opposite sex. So I was trying to convince him to stay home and like play video games and be a nerd with me, and he wasn't having it. He wanted to go out. So anyway, long story short, he asks out this girl, and she's like, yes, but a group of us are going to go. So I get invited. And there was Billie Jean, and then the girl my brother was after, they called her Dirty Diana. Anyway, he used to tell her that he loved the way you make me feel. Anyway, I'm digressing. The game is bad. It's not just ABC. Anyway, we go out with these girls, and they end up saying to us, a bunch of shit we don't care about. And my brother looks at me and says, they don't really care about us. So we go back home, and we have a color TV, and he asks, do we want to play on that one in the family room or go back to his room and play it on the black or white? Okay. So I'm like, very clearly, I want to rock with you wherever. I don't care. So we go over, grab it off the wall. My brother looks at me and says, can you feel it? I'm like, yeah, man. Absolutely. And he says, leave me alone. Smooth criminal.
I'm trying to load the counter for this stupid game you're playing, GP, with the song lyrics. But I just crashed
later on, he
the program.
talks to Dirty Diana and says, I want you back.
God, stop.
No, but seriously, this game is bad. It's a thriller, but I can never beat it.
Oh my God, that's like 15 in one sentence.
I have a very similar story, but the girl in my story was named Kiriana.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And there was a road that we ended up traveling down to go get the game. We went and picked up the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, she sounds like a pretty young thing.
Wow. Okay.
I did no research this week. It took me 7 days to come up with that story.
Yeah.
And I butchered it, by the way. For anybody who is out there is being like, GP's got it figured out. No, I ruined it.
I like the reference to ABC. That was good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like the thriller bad, can't beat it thing.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So look,
all right.
I want to talk about the legacy of Turok, right? Because they released a reboot in, what was it? Looking at my Mind Palace, 2008.
Sounds right.
Right.
For the 360 and the PS3. It was also ported to Windows, apparently. Have either of you played that? I kind of now want to play it.
So is that the one? Is that the one with Joe Turok, or is it a remake of this one? Because there's more of these games than I expected there would be when I looked at it.
This one has players assume the role of Native American space marine Joseph Turok.
Right. Yeah. I've not played that one, but I want to.
Who's sent to a remote planet to apprehend
time, Jake.
General Roland Kane. That sounds epic. That sounds epic to me.
I don't know. I haven't played it. I've played the first one, and I enjoyed the first one. I was aware of the second one, but I've played no other ones except for the first one. I'm aware just because of the past week of the number of games, I'm kind of like Jake. There was a lot more there than I realized. But really, my experience is solely limited to 1996 through 98.
It's interesting because we talked about this character being from the 50s, and in the 50s comics, he was called Turok. That was the character's name. It was him and a sidekick. And then in 96 or 5, when they rebooted it, before Acclaim got involved, I believe, or was it when Acclaim got involved? Acclaim got involved and said, you know what? His name is Joshua Fireseed. Turok is now his title. He's like this generation's Turok, right? It means son of stone or something.
Werewolf's new nickname needs to be Fireseed. Love you, Werewolf.
Yes. Yep. Werewolf is Turok. He's this generation's Turok. And then, so it was a title, and then now back in 2008, we have this reboot, Jimmy Fireseed, and we have
Joe's brother.
Joe's brother. God, they changed it again, so no longer a title. Turok is now his last name. It's kind of stupid as a name. It makes more sense to me as like this title that's passed down the line, right? Like not Batman, it's a bad example, but like a superhero thing, that a mantle you pass down to the generations. Joseph Batman, yeah. But you know what it is?
A good young man, kind of like Peter Speederman.
Clark Superman.
Clark
Superman.
Exactly. It just kills me. Like Joe Turok, it's like John Spartan, right? It's like they're trying to do a Halo, right? It's so stupid. It's a dumb name for a character, and he's a space marine. How the hell is the Dinosaur Hunter now a freaking space marine? It makes no sense.
You don't know what's in space. Can't nobody hear you scream?
Space dinos?
Can't nobody hear dinos scream?
I'm sorry. Have you not heard of the Dinobots?
It's a crossover. I didn't know we needed, GP.
Do I need to go grab my Dinobots? I got them.
Wait. Get that bingo card, kids.
Oh, boy.
I just want to point on something on your wall, and I can't do it.
Wait, aim your arm up, and I'll see if I can make it work.
That's the wrong way.
I'm on the top.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on.
This is great.
Okay. Anyway.
I'm not near high enough for this.
Yeah. All right. Me either.
No. So yeah, they kind of went off the rails. I think I liked it better when Turok was like the mantle. You know, I think I said this earlier in a Marco Polo. We were talking about it. It's kind of like finding out the Highlander's name is like Jacob Highlander,
right?
Instead of he is the Highlander, and there can only be one, or be only one.
And then as the series progresses, he becomes Jacob. There can only be one.
Right.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Which is later abbreviated to just Kenobi.
Jacob Kenobi.
Jacob Kenobi. Yeah.
Kenobi 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're
wow. Shut it down. Shut it down.
Yeah.
The story about John Diehard.
John Diehard.
Werewolf in the chat, nailing it. No, I don't want to make him laugh too hard, but man, he's slaying me.
All right. So going back to the first one.
Yeah.
So in the playthrough that I saw, after they'd beaten the game, I guess it unlocks a few different modes. One of them is, I guess, like art mode or drawing mode or something like that, where it's literally just wireframe. Yeah. You just play it. Yeah, ink mode. You just play it wireframe. But the one that I kind of loved was party mode. Have you seen party mode?
I have not.
I love it. There's the rainbow lights.
The walls are cycling kind of like disco colors. Like, you know, it's like you're at a disco, and all of the enemies are just like, they can't attack you because they're all dancing. And so you just literally kill a whole bunch of dancing people.
Pacifist mode.
Mm-hmm.
There's a number of cheats in the game, or extra modes, kind of like a la GoldenEye 64 type of thing, and you can unlock it with codes, and you can bring those up without beating the game, from what I remember. I think there's a big head mode as well, or a tiny enemy mode, and it makes the voices all shrill. I could be wrong, but I remember that.
Maybe you need some sort of game genie to do that.
No, it was in game codes, from what I remember.
Okay,
that's a throwback joke. Game Genie.
Yeah.
Game Genie.
Yeah. Game Genie.
No, can I mention that
I have to be honest.
Go ahead.
Oh no, there's a very specific feeling, and I don't know if it's full on nostalgia or if it's something else, but there is for me, a definite feeling to FPS games from the 64 era. I don't know if they all moved a certain way or if it was just something.
Yeah.
But I have a very specific. Even when I pulled up to watch the playthrough of this week, it took me back right away. I
Mhm.
mean, there's that. There's GoldenEye. There's a host, probably kind of a short list, I should say, of quality FPS games from the 64. But they all
Yes.
give me a very specific feeling, and I can't say I love the franchise or even love this game, but I appreciate it, and I've got a strong connection to just that time in my life. 14-year-old GP, just wandering around
Can
playing
I
FPS
maybe
games.
touch on, for me, what it is, as 3D models have progressed, they've figured out, oh, let's actually like track somebody's movements and like figure out how arms work and legs work. And if you look at those early games, like every like limb section is treated entirely differently. And so it's almost like they move at you like at a level, but the limbs and the arms and like
Yeah.
are moving.
Mhm.
Like that to me is kind of that epitome of the early 3D games, right?
Sure.
Very
Virtua Fighter was
ragdollish,
very much
right?
the same way,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
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 Like whenever Turok gets a key in the game, he kind of holds it up and examines it,
Mhm.
and his hands are flailing. And even when the enemies are dancing in that mode, the way they
Uh-huh.
dance, it feels like really bad puppetry. It's
Yeah.
Oh,
definitely
have you
animations
seen
have come a long way for sure.
have you seen any of the endings to Mortal Kombat 4 for the
No,
N64?
no.
Oh, okay, I'll send you some stuff. I'll post it in Discord for everybody to see. If you want to join the Discord, please do so. But yeah, like even just they couldn't figure out the walking. How do we move shoulders when we walk?
Right. Right. No, they just stay level and come at you, right? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's where's the momentum coming from? I don't know,
Mhm.
clearly the neck. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and it's no different. But I like that about FPS games. With some exceptions, you don't see too much of it. But you don't have to see how stupid your character looks when he's moving, because clearly he's doing some unnatural movement. But yes, whenever he finds those level keys, at first I thought he was like drinking out of a conch. You know what I mean? When I was
Right.
a kid, I'm like, okay, he was drinking something. But no, he's just admiring it.
Celebratory conch shot, right?
We
Yeah.
need the Zelda music.
Yes, that's what it looks
Doo-doo-doo.
like to
Yeah,
me.
that
Yeah.
you have a thing sound. You have a
Yeah.
thing.
You have a conch. Get
Yeah.
drunk. Um,
You got a key.
Drunk. Yeah.
I'll tell you what the graphics though of this, why I think FPS games on the N64 worked better than say the PlayStation. It's the textures and the 3D models are better on the N64. I know the PlayStation had much cheaper games, like in terms of the discs, and there's more of them by far, and a lot of great games there. But when it came to like actual 3D games, the texturing was always grainy. There was a lot of like see-through and seams on the textures. You could see through them. The 3D modeling was nowhere near as detailed as N64. I mean, ultimately, we know who won that console battle, but when I look at games like GoldenEye and Turok, they still look good even today. I mean, obviously it's dated, but they still look good.
Honestly, they probably lost for cost, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, and to your point, I mean, the Nintendo brought in silicon graphics. Like this was their bread and butter, right? Like they'd been doing military simulators for years, right? I mean, this was their bread and butter. So you're right. There was a ton of dithering. Like it's funny that you mentioned on the PlayStation, uh my memory is much more forgiving than the actual game. I've spun up the Mr. PlayStation Core, and the amount of dithering to me is absolutely astounding. And what's interesting is in the PlayStation Core, they give you the option to replace the dithering with actual gradients, right? And so,
Right.
and it's funny, it makes it almost look like a Nintendo 64.
It's close. And you
Just
know
in
what?
case. Oh, sorry, go ahead,
I was
please.
just saying, you're right. It's better. And also part of the thing too is playing the PlayStation games on a modern monitor or display. You don't have the scan lines, and scan lines actually help the PS quite a bit more, right? In terms of like smoothing out those rough textures. Sorry, GP,
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was just for the audience listening. I know what this is, but maybe explain to them what dithering is,
Oh,
just in case they don't
right.
know.
So, if you're familiar with art, it's kind of like a version of stippling where you instead of doing like true color gradients, you use pixels, right? So you get imagine the early comics where they colorize the early comics and you can see the individual dots. This is essentially a translation of that to the screen, right? So instead of this nice gradient, you have kind of like one color, and then you get, you know, like sparse dots, thicker dots until you eventually get to the other color.
Yep. I couldn't have said it better myself. That's
you.
exactly what I understand it to be also. So good job. And that's dithering, everybody. Thank you.
Dithering was great on the early Mac games where it was literally black and white. Like they didn't have gray, right? And the dithering carried the games, right? I have a love for dithering, but looking at the PlayStation core, I'm like, why was the PlayStation using so much dithering?
You don't have to do this anymore. Yeah.
Like if you ever see like Metal Gear Solid, which is a game I have a lot of fondness for, even the graphics at the time I remember being really amazing. But you play it without a CRT and you see Snake's face and you realize there's nothing on his face. It's pretty blank. There's just like this mess of pixels where his eyes and brow should be. It's really awkward.
All shading, yeah. That's a good point.
And then you cover yourself in a box.
Yes. No boxes in Turok though. I did want to talk about maybe the bosses for a minute here, because this game is incredibly challenging, and I thought I'd beaten this, but I think after playing it recently, I beat it with cheats because I couldn't get past that stupid T-Rex. But the bosses, the first boss, and not every stage has one. Yeah, he's right at the end, but even the beginning, the very first boss, which is I think stage 3, it's the Long Hunter. No, that's after. It's the Long Hunter. The boss, because you're Turok, the Dinosaur Hunter, the boss is a Humvee. A Humvee.
A Humvee.
And he circles around. You're in a stone arena. Funny. And Arnold Schwarzenegger is driving this Humvee around the arena, and it takes an insane amount of shots. You run through all your good ammo, all your exploding shells gone. Assault rifle gone, tech arrows gone. And while there is respawning ammo in the arena occasionally, you end up by the end of that fight using only arrows. It's really pathetic. But you get
I was going to say, are you knifing a Humvee at the end?
No, not that bad. I always had arrows at the very least. But you kill the Humvee and it blows up, and there's phase 2. Phase 2, it's another Humvee. And you have to kill a second one. Yeah, and again, takes up a shit ton of... There's 2 of them. And then after you take that one down, and again, you're spending a good 3-4 minutes taking it down, and all your ammo, there's a phase 3. Literally, it's the guy hops out of the blown up Hummer, and he's basically shoots boomerangs at you. He's got a alien pulse rifle. It's insane. It's 3 phases for the first boss in the game. 3 phases. No other boss in the game has multiple phases, and it just drives me nuts.
He was down at the GM dealership and he had enough to buy 2.
A 2 for 1
He had enough
special.
money to buy 2 Hummers.
It's
put
ridiculous.
one inside the other like a clown car of Humvees.
Right.
The glasses on the glasses gag from 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And here's the other thing that's impressive is the bad guy Long Hunter, whatever, his HP is about that of what the Humvees were. How in the world he managed that is insane.
He's actually harder than the Hummer, honestly, because he has same health and he's more damaging.
Yeah. The only other time I've seen a human character be more difficult to take down than a vehicle was Street Fighter, and that vehicle was pretty lame. So, and also to bring things full circle, there was that Michael Jackson music video, but I think rest in power, man.
Yeah. It's wild. It's a difficult game for sure, and I know there's these pieces of a staff you can collect, and I think if you get them all, you unlock the special scepter weapon. And from what I remember, that makes the last boss easier to beat. But it's finding all those pieces that's really tricky.
So in the playthrough that I watched, after the person beat the T-Rex, there's a long kind of hallway where it's kind of like door after door after door after door, like you're going straight through, and literally it has what appears to be every weapon in the game. You're collecting weapon after, and so I'm over here going, oh yeah, this is a term that's modern now, but we call this gore shadowing, right? Like the game gives you all of these, like all of the big bad because you know something big bad's coming up, right? I was
Right.
like, wow, this is some heavy ass gore shadowing.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those things, it's like, why could this room not have been built at the beginning of the game? And also, I should save. I mean, that's,
Right.
that's when you know there's a save spot. It, some of the choices made with putting together this first game, I don't really know how to explain it, but if you're not familiar with there's the arming the core shadowing
Hmm.
playing right now, brilliant. But it's one of those things. If you're not familiar with the story, the campaigner is trying to put together these, yeah, right, the names, the Chronoceptor, because he wants this land where time doesn't really exist and anything can be there, whether it's giant mutant mantises or humans or dinosaurs. He wants that land to be everywhere. It's kind of my remembering of it, my understanding
Hmm.
of it. And it's one of those tropes where if the bad guy succeeds, he's probably not going to last as the main villain for very long because something's going to take his ass down, you know. And I don't know.
Especially if he drops all these weapons around.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah,
he's
they're
so sloppy,
very
leaving them
sloppy
everywhere.
with.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
imagine Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando if
Mhm.
like the end boss was like, here's your shotgun and here's your rocket launcher and okay, now let's fight.
Right. Yeah, but it's
Instead he
just,
had to go rip off a weapon store, right?
yeah,
Like, I mean, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There's certain tropes with bad guys, and in video games and movies, good guys are just as bad as, like, sometimes, oh, we have to chase this MacGuffin so that we have it, which will prevent them from having it. But then it just makes it easier to centrally locate and then go get it from the good guys, whatever, whatever. So
Yeah.
there's that. And the other thing that I remember not liking about this game is the, at least in my experience, the ad campaign for it was pretty impressive. There's some hype behind this. Acclaim had just purchased and redoubled
Mm.
down on this from purchasing the comic book rights. And I mean, they were really heavily invested in this being their new flagship,
Yeah.
which, did it pay off? I don't know. But I remember thinking, okay, this is cool. This is like an ancient dude fighting off dinosaurs with future tech and
Mm.
simultaneously tomahawks and stuff like that. And then you play it, there's a surprising lack of dinosaurs. And then there's like guns and stuff, which obviously I understand it. But if the game had done away with like the guns and just had your character figuring out how to adapt future tech with primitive weapons, that would have been dope. Take out any
Yeah.
of the current stuff and just have like the past meeting the far distant future. I think that would have
So
been so much cooler.
you have literally just described the game Ark. You have.
Yeah, I
Like,
remember falling off a
yeah.
cliff in Ark. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that was.
Yeah, and then going into the dungeon and dying. Yeah.
This
Uh-huh.
just remembers. Okay, first off, I was falling on a spike so that we could try to reclaim all the goods that we lost from dying in that same cave. So I remember it very vividly. But
But
yes,
I think it's really funny how you just described that. That is literally like Ark, right? Like you get to a level where you start getting future tech and you have to like integrate it with the existing tech. Like, so you just described Ark. Okay, so Turok became Ark in whatever
our arc
year
was just
Ark
what I,
came
I
out.
think I had hoped Turok had been. So by the time I found out what Turok ended up being, I kind of felt a little misled.
Mm.
But I mean, then again, that's not. I didn't hate it because of it, but I'm like, man, I just wish there weren't pistols and grenade launchers. But then again, I love pistols and grenade launchers in first-person shooters. So
So there is an
yeah,
incentive to
yeah,
not use those. That's
okay,
in fact the only reason I made it deeper into the N64 game as a kid or teenager is there's a mechanic called Mortal Wounds. It's a special power up, and you can only get it when you kill dinosaurs or humanoid enemies with a knife or the plain bow. And
okay,
occasionally, more common on the N64 than I thought it would be, you get a mask power up. It disappears faster than anything else, but when you pick it up, it gives you 5 health, but it also increases your maximum health by 5. So you can actually get your maximum health up to like 120 or 125. And that makes the game a heck of a lot easier to beat. So enough that, and I remember that mechanic from on the N64 version. So when I played the Steam version recently, I wasn't getting them at all because I usually start off the first hub world level just knifing everything because it's easy. It's all the basic enemies, and I wasn't getting a single drop. So I think they tweaked that in the remake or the remaster, and they didn't remove it, but it's definitely a lot rarer than it used to be on the N64 version. So, but they encourage the primitive weapons. That's what they try and get you to do.
Well, I like that, and that's probably something I would be more inclined to do. I like the challenges, even if the bonuses or benefits are minuscule. I'm kind of a glutton for punishment that way, but that sounds fun, more fun than run and gun.
For bonuses, do you remember doing the blue portals that would show up randomly?
No.
Do you remember those
No.
sequences at all? Every stage has a couple, and they do respawn, but it's like a blue portal opens up. You jump in it, and it takes you to kind of like a hidden platforming section. It's all crazy
Yes.
dark blue and weird cackling energy floor, and it's almost always a jumping puzzle and dodging really hard to gauge like size and swinging things. And it drove me nuts because there's one I remember early on. You have to cross like a bridge, and there's these flying blades that rock back and forth, and it's not straight; they're at angles. And of course, N64, there's no shadows on these damn things, so you're trying to gauge the angle they're coming at. And 9 times out of 10, you just run across the bridge and take your damage. But there's a lot of those in the game, and the hidden stuff is pretty cool. The reward was always extra health or ammo and whatnot, but I remember those quite a bit.
For those about Turok, I got it. Oh,
Well,
that's
welcome
brilliant.
to the
done.
episode
Well
30
done.
minutes ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the version that was on the Xbox. So it's interesting because, like I said, I thought that I played the first one, and I didn't. So when I was looking at this today, the playthrough on the N64, I'm like, this isn't the game I remember. And so I went and looked up the Xbox version, Turok Evolved, and I actually watched the GameCube playthrough on it. And I hate to say it, but it's so much cooler. Like, you get to fly on pterodactyls and
Actual
like,
dinosaurs. Okay.
yeah, it has actual dinosaurs in the game, not just T-Rexes with lasers and dragon breath.
Turok Dinosaur Flyer or Turok Dinosaur Hunter?
Mm,
I mean,
Yeah. Dino Hunter, not Dino Rider, right?
there you go.
that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
That does sound
No,
pretty dope.
I remembered being in like a jungle and stuff, and I'm watching the N64 version. I'm like, this is sparse walls, and you're in a maze. Okay, I got it. Yeah. So
Oh my god. The episode, the chapter kind of close to the end with the slatted walls. Talk about like, oh my god, that was horrible. To this day, I still hate that stage. One of my least favorite stage designs. And then you've got people screaming at you and running out from corners randomly, and you got to try to figure. Oh my god, forget it.
It's great
Fuck
though. It
that
has
all.
its charm. It has its charm. And I like that game. It reminds me, like, these are the games I played. I didn't have Quake. I didn't have a PC at the time. I didn't get a chance to play Quake 3 Arena until years later. So for me, my experience with first-person shooters was Turok. And for as bad as the level design may have been, I think it has its charm.
At the time, you don't realize it. I mean, do things age well? Do they not? I think if you're a newer gamer and you go back and try to play the first, N64 Turok, no, you're not going to care for it. But I think if there was a not even a nostalgia thing, I keep going back to that word, but that's not really how I feel. I think if you were familiar with that era, then yeah, you're more likely to pick it up and be like, yeah, this is not that bad. But yeah, I
Right.
don't think it's going to appeal to a lot of newer gamers.
right.
So
Yeah,
what
I
else
mean,
with Evolution? Tell me more about that one because if it's
um,
better, then I should play it.
well, like I said, I actually bounced off of it because I'm used to, this was Xbox, original Xbox, right? So I'm used to Halo,
Mhm.
right? And so I get a bow and arrow. And really, my biggest issue here is I'm absolute crap with sniper weapons. I am. Give me
Okay.
something that either sprays a lot of bullets, either in a sequence or all at once, right? So
Mhm.
either a shotgun or a machine gun, right? And here I am trying to like take enemies out with an arrow as I'm strafing and they're strafing. And so honestly, I got frustrated with it. I should go back now that I have a greater understanding. Plus, now I don't have Quake fresh in my memory, and I don't have, those sorts of things fresh in my Halo.
Right.
I don't have Halo fresh in my memory.
Is it
Yes,
faster than
please.
Halo? Because my complaint with Halo was I always felt the movement was too slow. That was my issue with Halo.
From what I watched today, it seemed pretty fast.
Okay.
So, yeah. Although I've been playing a lot of Valheim. There's not a lot of fast in Valheim.
It's just like Turok, just lack of dinosaurs. Which actually is just like Turok. So really it's Valheim Dinosaur Hunter.
So the
Yes,
evolution of
literally
Turok,
anything can be Dinosaur Hunter now.
yeah, the evolution of Turok is Valheim, not Ark.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
That's how it works. Turok is really
Somewhere
a
the
crafting game.
Somewhere the
I don't know.
timeline, diverged.
If we're talking about other
Yeah.
Turok games, I remember playing the second game in the N64. My friend had it, and I remember hating it. I'm sorry, Jeff, if you're watching or listening. I hated Turok 2. I felt the graphics were too busy, the textures were overdone, and it reminded me of a PlayStation game. That's my memories of Turok 2. The only fondness for that game I have was that it had multiplayer, because the original Turok didn't have multiplayer. So for Turok 2, you could play the local co-op multiplayer, and that was pretty fun. It had some interesting weapons, but I found
They
it
nerfed some of
didn't
the
look as
weapons,
good.
though, didn't they?
Did they?
Like, I think, like, the tech arrows and stuff, they nerfed down pretty good, and I don't know. I
Okay.
do remember some of Turok 2, but I
Well, 'cause
think
the Turok-
I yeah.
Those tech arrows
be
in the first game
intersplicing
were
that with
way
parts of one, I don't
overpowered,
really
right?
know.
Because they were AoE and they were huge damage. But
Yeah, 2, I'm pretty sure I remember 2, but never playing it, but, like, watching it be played, if that
Yeah.
I think we all have games like that. And what was the byline on it? Turok 2,
Seeds of Evil.
Turok-ing?
The
Yeah, that's
Turok-ing.
The Turok-ing. The Turok
Fire
2. Turok 2, where you get the name
Yeah.
Seeds
instead of the
Fire.
title, right?
To rock
Yeah.
harder.
Turok. It's just
some
Turok
more.
instead of Turok 2. It's Turok.
Yeah, exactly.
We should be in marketing. Honestly, look at us
Why the
go.
fuck are we not? Yes.
There's a reason this franchise failed. It was because they didn't consult us.
Yeah.
I was 15. I don't know if you noticed this, but every time I reach back in my memories, I add 1 year to my age. I was playing this when I was 16, loving the hell out of this.
Yeah.
Turok, paper, scissors. Yes.
Nice.
Thanks,
Nice,
Wolf.
That
That's
wins,
great.
Wolf.
That's wild.
So there was a Game Boy Color version, apparently, of Turok 3.
It does no business even having the name in the title. When you make a game for the Game Boy Color inspired by the first-person shooter, it's a platformer. Why the hell does it have a number in its title? They should just call it Turok Junior or Turok the Game Boy version. Like, it shouldn't be 3. Like, anybody who buys this game,
Turok Color.
Turok Color, yeah. Anybody who got this game as a kid and it says Turok 3 might have that moment of like, oh, well, maybe it's the first. Oh, it's not. It's Game Boy Color. No. Like, what a disappointment.
Well, and does it run Turok? Does not roll off the tongue the way, will it run Doom?
Right.
Did they port it to the pregnancy test yet? Have they
No.
done that? No, not for Turok.
Is it a girl or is it a Turok? It's just
Baby, no. After stream, I'll say it. I got a really good one. I'm not gonna say it.
getting us trouble with YouTube. It's okay. We're 40 minutes in.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Is this a franchise you guys want to see brought back?
No. I just want to go back and play the first one.
Okay.
Like, I dig the first one. But I don't dig it enough that I want to try the others. I want to keep it in this nice little box of I can go visit that whenever I want. I don't want it to be a whole universe that I have to go and explore. Let me have Metroid for that. Let this just be the cool, maybe they shouldn't have done so much fog game that I remember fondly.
Well, it's funny. If you play the Steam version, you can reduce the fog, but you can't turn it off. And the reason the developers gave is because the level design, the geometry, only extends so far. So they actually need the fog to cover up deformed geometry. So they even said, like, because a modern PC could totally run Turok without fog, but they have to keep it there for that.
That makes sense.
I still
it's
like
kind of
the
like
fog.
you can reduce the fog, but it's never off. Your chances of being killed by a duck are slim, but never zero. Same kind of thing.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
How about you guys?
Turok,
You guys want to see
Duck
it made
Hunter.
into a rebooted franchise?
It's just anything media that touches Native American culture in history, even remotely. I feel like they're just going to Johnny Depp it, and it's not going to be good, right?
God, why is that such an accurate description?
But
That's
it's
the
right.
thing.
Yeah,
I want Turok, but I want the Turok that I thought I was going to get. If they would make
Yeah.
that, yes, absolutely, I would do that as a franchise. But
yeah.
no, man, not what it is. What I wanted
Okay.
it to be.
I just spun up Turok 3 on the Game Boy Color. You're
Give me
in
a
a
link.
tank.
Give
You're
me a
in
link.
a tank.
I'll pull it up
No,
right now.
I'm playing it on
Oh.
my Mister right now.
All right.
Tank
You're in
talk.
a tank. Like you start the game in a tank. What
In
is
keeping
this?
with the Native American tradition.
Yeah,
Right.
of course. Yeah.
And it looks
Horrible.
like an Abrams tank.
So many
Okay.
anachronisms.
Yeah.
Is it Turok 3 Shadow of Oblivion? Is that the one?
Hang on. It is yes, Shadow of Oblivion.
All right. Give me a sec.
Okay. Yeah, I know that we're kind of all over the place in this episode, but
Why
this
are
is
you
worth
in a
showing.
tank?
Well, okay,
You weren't
that's actually
kidding.
not the official release. That is one of the Eastern European hacks, and the full title is actually Turok 3 to make explode.
What? Wow, you weren't kidding. This is the beginning of the game too. This is like 5 minutes in. 2 minutes in, you're in a
Yeah.
tank. You get your
Yeah.
plot, your story, and then there's Turok. There's Joe Turok in a tank.
Yeah.
Okay,
The
so
title of Turok used to go to the oldest son of the tribe, and now it's just to the biggest tank. The biggest tank is the new Turok.
It's the Abrams
wanna
Turok
point
tank.
out-
Yeah.
I want to point out that your little face symbol in the bottom left is still Native American.
He's not wearing a shirt. That's
there we
that's
go.
the classic Turok. You don't get to wear. You're only half clothed. You got khakis and a bare-chested man with a bow and
Let me ask
arrow
you,
and a big ass fucking tank. Why
When
has
did
he
this
got a bow and
become
arrow?
Akari- when did this become Akari Warriors?
Yeah, the overhead view in the Game Boy Color version is ridiculous. How do you go from a tank to I'm going to exit the tank and I'm going to just run head on with a bow and arrow? That's what I'm going to do.
Right. Because the first time you take damage, you're like, oh man, remember that badass tank I had when I didn't take damage? Those are the good old days.
Maybe it was modern fuel prices and you could only buy a gallon of tank fuel. And it's all been consumed now.
Now he's
Man,
got to
I
do
tell
it
you
on
what,
foot.
it really does. It is flimsy when you really look at it.
We wonder why this franchise failed, right?
Yeah, okay, so you're blaming Turok 3 for to make explode. You're blaming that for the downfall of the entire franchise?
I'm
For Evolution, which
blaming
apparently
a
is great.
lack of cohesiveness in the series.
Yep.
Whether it's the name or whether it's the Game Boy Color version or whether it's, yeah.
Back
They
to
came
the
up with the
tank.
game before they knew which IP it was going to go to.
Yeah.
I'm just skimming the
That's a
game
shame.
here, but there's a lot more variety of environments than Turok on the N64.
Oh, and now it's a side scroller.
Oh, and now you get a Jeep. You got a Jeep. This is Akari Warriors. That's what this is. But with a bow and
Yeah.
arrow.
This is wild.
Yeah.
Look forward to this on later in the year when we do our Game of the Year 2023
Yes.
episode.
John Turok Rambo, werewolf swinging him in.
John Turok Rambo.
Bridget Ward, he's topless.
He's topless. Yep.
I will say
You're not
though,
supposed
I
to
mean,
look at that part.
as bad as this looks, it's not like Wheel of Pain bad. It's just
No.
it's just a lame game. That's all.
Probably the thing that hurts this game the most is the Turok title. If it wasn't a Turok game, it's probably a decent game.
What would you
Akari
guess?
Warrior 4 or 12. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Interesting. Did not know that existed. Kind of wish I
Yeah.
still didn't.
Right.
Kind of wish we
right.
didn't see that. Yeah. Thanks, Dinosaur.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I prefer my letdowns to just be Turok 2, please.
All right,
Oh,
that's fair.
man.
I do. So you say you ask the question? Should this be rebooted, or do you think it should? I am interested in playing the one that came out in 2008. I am interested in playing that.
Okay. What is it about the gameplay you think you can get past, or is it just you think the story might be worth it? Like, do you like the idea of Joe Turok, the Space Marine? Like,
I honestly kind of want to take it from a standpoint of, you know, having watched the N64 version, having bounced off of the Xbox, the original Xbox version, and seeing where, you know, a modern version could have gone or did go, because honestly 2008 they'd kind of we'd made our stride in first person or third person shooters. Like there's not a lot of, you know, new changes or creature comforts that have been out since then, right? Like BioShock still holds up to this day, right? I mean, so
Right.
I'm interested to see what it looks like in a modern scenario. So, did you pull this up? Is this the
This is
2008
Evolution.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It does not look as good as I thought it would. I'll be
No.
honest with you. For 2008.
Right.
Yeah.
No. This isn't 2008. Evolution was original Xbox.
Oh, okay. So 2002.
But-
Yeah.
Right.
What's
okay.
a modern update going to offer that we're not going to get from Doom or Wolfenstein? Unless
You
you're
know
going to
what?
make it solely hunting dinosaurs, then yeah, I'm in. But
Your basically your modern Turok is probably what Horizon Zero Dawn is, right? That's a world where you have technology with the primitive style weapons, and you have dinosaurs. Sure, they're robot dinosaurs, but they're still dinosaurs.
but also Space Marine.
Okay, well, there's no
Yeah.
Space Marines
What if I
in
wanna-
Horizon.
What if I
It's a
want to be
franchise, it doesn't know what it wants to be.
What if I want to be a Native American, not a Native Horizon Zero Dawnian?
What if you want to wear a shirt? Is
No.
that the barrier to entry here
That is a
as a
bridge too
Turok?
far.
Yeah.
And I think I just came up with the world's funniest Halloween costume for myself. So
Okay. All right.
Please don't dress up as Turok, GP. That will
I was
going
going to be the tank. I want to be the tank.
Okay. All right. Okay. Be the
Turok,
tank, yeah.
Turok the tank engine.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go. I just, okay. What if I wanted to dress up as Turok, but I made people guess if I was Turok from the Game Boy Color or if I was one of the main characters from Contra? Same thing.
Or an Akari
he looks very
warrior.
similar. Or Akari Warriors, yeah.
No shirt,
Yeah.
no shoes, no video game.
Exactly. Yeah,
I
don't know. You actually kind of you may have just tanked my entire idea of playing the 2008 version with saying it's essentially a Horizon Zero Dawn, because you're right.
Yeah.
Damn
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
Damn it, Jake.
I don't know. I just don't. Again, I feel like they would screw up the casting or the representation of Native American person or character. I don't think they can do it properly. They've struggled with that, which is unfortunate. Because the character is cool. The idea of this hidden lost valley where time is does not pass. Dinosaurs are freaking awesome and amazing. Native American stuff is really cool. And the original had such a jamming soundtrack. If they brought that stuff back, it could be great.
Yes.
But they'd have to do it properly, and I don't think they could do it.
I do want to touch on the soundtrack if I may. It is so wonderfully ambient. It reminds me, the only other game I know that does it as well, and maybe a little bit better, is Spyro the Dragon. It's repetitive, but not to a point where it's obnoxious.
Okay.
And it's ambient because you're not sitting there like, oh, I fucking love this jam. This is great. But it's a mood, and it kind of helps very much with the setting. I think for me, in that category, top marks for Turok and Spyro.
I was trying to struggle.
I
When
do
you
love
said
that.
it was like Spyro, I'm like, what are you on? Are you sure you're not high? Turok and Spyro soundtracks being similar. But you're right. Absolutely. Yeah. As a background track, especially on the N64, the first couple stages especially, it's there. It's constantly pumping. It just feels really good. It's not Doom, no, but it's still a really solid soundtrack.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. In what it accomplishes, you're not going to spin it up in your car and drive around to it and get hyped up. That's what we have Alanis Morissette for. But this is something that sets the scene. And if you have to play the game with the music, on low or muted, it's not going to be as fun because of that.
I feel like it's an irony that you compared Alanis Morissette to Turok.
What do you listen to get amped up?
The Hades soundtrack.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Okay.
But it is a jagged little pill, is all I'm saying.
There you go. That's what I was waiting for. Somebody was going to make that reference, and it wasn't going to be me.
Isn't that ironic? God dang
Oh
it.
boy.
I already did
Stop.
one
The
ban
counter's
today. I'm
broken,
not gonna-
GP. You broke the counter. Like, I'm lucky I can move the cameras around.
I'm here for you, Bridget. I'm here for you, Bridget.
Terrible
Nope.
son. Or terrible pun. Sin.
Yeah.
Terrible son.
Yeah.
Terrible
Okay.
son, Pin.
Yeah. My dyslexia is kicking in.
Yeah. Okay, so would either of you have an interest in playing 2008 edition Turok?
No. You know
Right,
what?
I'll go. Yeah.
Go ahead, GP.
No, I keep interrupting. I feel horrible. Please, you first.
I just think for me, console FPS games, there's certainly a gap for me because that was 2008 was what, PS3 era, I think. And I just know
Yeah, it says it was for 360 and PS3.
if there's a PC version, I would try it. But I have no interest in playing a console FPS game with a controller. Not from that era. I feel like they made improvements later on, but is there?
There is a Windows version. I don't know if it
Okay.
is available on modern, like Steam or something, but there is a Windows version.
Maybe
Painted yourself
just
in
to
the
see the
corner there.
character Joe Turok, I think is what I want to see. But then once I saw him, I'd be like, he's wearing a suit. He's got a shirt on. He's not my Turok. I didn't vote for him.
But if he has the headband with the downward facing feather, come on.
Did they do that in 2008? Isn't that offensive?
That was literally the picture in that GBA version of Turok 3.
I know.
Here's the
Let me
thing,
see. I gotta look it up real
Turok
quick.
is as much a dinosaur hunter as Mario is a dinosaur hunter. And I have no interest in really playing any of the modern versions. I really need to go back and try to finish playing the first one because I know I never really made it past the level that we talked about with like the slatted walls that's very sparse. I personally never made it past that because I just got too disoriented and everything was the same and I didn't like it. But that said, I have seen the ending. I've seen the final, T-Rex fight and all that stuff. But if I'm gonna dip my toe in the Turok waters again, it'll just be for the first one, and I don't see me going anywhere after that.
Yeah. Like even 2, I feel like I maybe didn't give 2 a fair shake. I might try the second game again, but I just have bad memories of the graphic style of that game. Just some of the style of the first game just hit really well for me.
Here's the winner for the made-up name for the sequel. Turok 2 Rock. Turok 2. Okay, guys. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm there with you.
We had a good run.
I'm
sorry.
I was laughing on the inside.
If you want, I can submit a list of people to replace me with.
No, I don't know.
Guy
No, GP, we
subprime.
don't want that. Okay.
Guy subprime mortgage.
Guys, it's just me with different mustaches.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's what we'll do. Everybody needs a fake mustache. That way when we get fired, you can still hang around. That's all.
I don't know who Sinistar is.
My shell?
I am Sinistars. Oh shit. Okay. We've devolved a little bit here. Do we want to mention any other notable entries? Any other memories we want to bring up?
This episode had as many dinosaurs as Turok had.
Yeah. Turok is everything hunter, but not specifically dinosaur hunter. But it's a good game. I like it. I have fondness for it. I think it's one of the standouts in the N64. I'm sad in a way that it didn't progress as a franchise, but it's probably better it's not the way they would do it.
Yeah. Agreed.
I'm sad that I didn't realize I could make the joke when I was talking about the T-Rex with lasers that everything needs a warm meal.
Oh, I like that. That is funny. But here's the thing: if somebody made a ROM hack of this where they took out all the other bad guys and replaced them with just more dinosaurs, then, and I know this makes no sense, I would play the hell out of that game.
Yeah.
I just want what I thought I was getting. That's
Just dinosaurs. Just dinosaurs.
Why is
Nothing
that-
else.
Why is that dinosaur guarding the door to the temple? Why does he have a badge? Why does he have a gun?
They have
It's
guns,
we're
'cause
allowing
though.
fire-breathing, laser-wielding dinosaurs. Then yeah, I don't care if they're wearing, name tags or badges. Yes, Trogdor is better than Turok. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. The raptors have guns in later stages. It's makes so little sense. They're cyborg raptors. They have like energy projectiles. It's a game. It's a wonderful
Cyborg Raptor
shit
from now
show.
on will be my call, my handle on anything. Guy Prime is no more. From now on, it's Cyborg Raptor.
Cyborg.
Well, that's funny because that was my high school nickname.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
No way.
Mark that on your bingo card.
Awesome. All right. Well, I don't know. I do have a little bit of a hankering to go back and at least spin up the originals on probably an emulator, because I don't have the cartridges. They were $120, folks. I can't afford them.
You know what's bad though? When the game you're talking about makes you want to play a different game in the same genre. It's a first-person
That's
shooter that
true.
makes me want to play Doom. Makes me want to
That's
play
true.
GoldenEye more than I want
Right.
to play this.
And at least Doom makes sense from the beginning. Like a gate to hell opens up, right? Like you're
What more
fighting
do you need?
demons.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's actual demons in the game.
Okay, Cyborg Demon will be my new
That is
handle.
actually
Yeah.
a boss.
Oh, never mind. Cyborg Raptor it is.
Yeah. Fair enough. Awesome. Any other comments, thoughts?
No, I think I'm
Not for
good.
this game.
All right. Well, then I think we're probably good at point here.
Definitely
I've
not
had a
on anybody's
blast.
top 100 list. I'll say that.
No, for sure.
Actually, it might be, but it's 100 games, guys. 100 games. You don't think this
in the
ranks?
history of mankind.
I think Turok is on
Listen.
that list. I think
Listen,
so.
I have Dragon's Lair Nest to consider.
This is much better than that. I think
We
Turok
need to
is.
step out before we get into a big debate
Yeah,
about
all right.
that.
I'll save it, but I think this is what would be one of my picks for a top 100 list if we were to somehow decide to do that at Press B to Cancel. I don't know if we will, but yeah.
Might be onto something there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, let's see. GP, what are you playing? What are you doing?
That's not my name.
Oh, I'm sorry. Cyborg Raptor. What do you want? Yeah, what do you want?
Xena Stars. I am still working on wrapping up Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and starting up on Final Fantasy X, which I went ahead and downloaded on the PS5. So I've got that available now. But yeah, hopefully finishing up Sonic 2 this week, recorded, and then starting up on Final Fantasy X. So,
Are you
That
still
sounds-
going to do your Wheel of Pain game, Sonic, on the Xbox 360?
yeah, sure, absolutely.
Okay.
I told you I would do that, so let's do that. I would
Did
love
you
that.
forget? Did you forget you were
Yeah,
supposed to play that
I
game?
literally forgot what game I had, but I remembered it was Sonic.
He's
I'll
like,
get
yeah,
it to
I'm
you.
working on Sonic. I'm working on
Sonic
Sonic
2,
2. That's the right
Yeah.
one, right?
That's the one
No,
everybody
this is the
wants
one
to
where
see.
he's in the tank.
Okay, all right.
And he has a feather aimed downwards. Yes.
Jeez.
Uh-huh. All right, Jake, what are you doing? What are you playing?
So I've been trying to work through my stupid challenge I agreed to for Sisyphean Games. I want to beat Battletoads. I will beat Battletoads this year, and I will do it without continues and without warps. I've been posting up the runs on YouTube as I go. Go ahead, GP.
I want to point out that you used the phrase that you agreed to. What I think you meant was that you came up with and told us you were doing it. We all just
But-
went with it. Well, yeah, absolutely, you can do
Okay,
that. And you're
but-
like, they put me into it.
No, but nobody said don't do this. That's stupid. So, but anyway,
I'm proud.
It's
of you
really
for
it's your
doing this, and
fault,
you
honestly.
absolutely can.
Yeah, no, I
What?
can totally.
You didn't
beat
even
this game.
remember I've ever even played it.
Can I propose an idea here, Jake?
Well, what's that?
I think if you were to say stream it and have active people hanging out with you, you might enjoy the process a little bit more.
Yeah, but who has the time? You know what it is? If I have more than half an hour, I would totally stream it. But I like how I can sit down and do a run for 20 minutes and just upload it to YouTube.
Yeah.
But I have
That's fair.
thought that without practice, without doing runs back to back, I'm probably not going to finish this game. So I have thought about trying to stream it. So I'm debating on how to do that. But it's
I
a
would
time
love
thing
that.
for me. Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
Somebody mark
All
a
right.
color chart and tell him.
And I have started Chrono Trigger. Let's go back in time a little bit more. I did my 2 hours and change
Yes.
because I actually completed my final game through all of my lives on Dragon Slayer
Layer.
NES. And that game is hot trash. But I
You
did
think?
get better. But I did get better. I did actually get better fairly rapidly. So I think that's a game that's doable. Not that I'm going to do it.
Not
But
by
I did
me.
start.
What if you
Exactly.
did, though? What if you badged
Yeah.
it? What if we just make that the Press B team goal? We all badge Dragon's Lair for the NES
No,
as soon as I beat
have too
Battletoads.
much going on. I have too much. Uh-oh.
Sinister's out. He's done. I don't know.
No,
when you
I,
beat the first level, I'm like, if you can beat the first level, then that game looks like it's actually possible to win. So I think you could
Yeah.
totally do Dragon's Lair.
Well, and honestly, surprisingly, I thought that it was going to be 2 hours of that initial first scene.
Yeah.
And once I figured out, jump to the right spot, immediately jump back, duck, go back to the beginning, turn around, stand up, launch some daggers, bow down, stand up, launch some daggers. Like it was convoluted as hell, but it really did train you that the rest of the game is just like that.
Yeah.
It's
So-
Punch Out. It's
Mhm.
Punch Out.
I have started my Sisyphean game. I am streaming them on most Mondays in the evening, Mountain Time in the evening, on twitch.tv/Sinistar77.
Awesome.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. I'm not as clever as Wolf. Anybody else?
Just quickly say, please follow and like and subscribe and wherever you listen or watching our podcast, and check us out at pressbtocancel.com.
Yes. Come
Better
to the
have all the
Discord. Make fun
dinos
of us. Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
do it in the voice.
Cyborg Raptor.
Cyborg Raptor out.